Hey, boss called a big meeting. Starts yelling at everyone. Don't care, so I let my mind wander. Suddenly remembered something funny. Can't control my laugh and start choking up. Bury my face in my hands because I don't want everyone to know I'm laughing. Suddenly everything goes quiet and co-workers start yelling at the boss for making me cry. Boss ended up getting written up for berating me. Suddenly co-workers are way more social with me. I don't think I'm going to correct them because I wouldn't even know how to start explaining. When I was around 12 or 13, me and my extended family went on a vacation to Alaska. We took a passenger train that was pretty much a tourist line, and they had a guy doing some activities and games and stuff to help pass the time. One of the things he gave everyone was a note card and said something like, draw a male moose. There's something specific a male moose has. And 5 minutes later, he picks up the note cards, winces, laughs, and goes, guys, antlers. A male moose has antlers, as he holds up a drawing of a moose with a gigantic dongle. Memory. In the 7th grade, I met a guy, and I forget exactly how, but I came to the conclusion that his name was Steve. So every time I saw him, I just called him Steve. And he responded to it. So this reinforced the idea that he was Steve. Then on the last day of school, I went to say goodbye to him because his family was moving out of state. I said something like, bye Steve, and he responded with, bye, my name's Michael. And I never saw him again. Today, I heard 2 kids talking about buying fake IDs after school. And so I started eavesdropping because, you know, that's big kid stuff. And then one was like, yeah, but is all this really worth it? Like, I'm pretty sure the fake IDs are going to cost more than the fish we're going to buy. To buy fish at Petco, you have to be 18 or older. They were going to get fakes to buy fish? So, one time when I was in 8th grade, my school went on a camping trip at this camp. And at night, we all went around the campfire and told stories. And one of the instructors pointed up at the hill where a bunch of deer had gathered. He explained that baby deer make certain noises to call their mothers over. He said that if we were really quiet, we could hear them. Suddenly this huge black guy came out of nowhere and yelled, "Yo mama, where you at?" Tell me a secret. One time during class, my drama/English teacher, who is a devout vegan and all about not killing animals, accidentally stepped on a ladybug. He froze up and slowly cradles it in his hand. And he was so heartbroken, he started quoting Hamlet. I didn't have the heart to tell him it was a red M&M. My sister's dad opened the freezer and a blob of ice fell on his foot and hurt him. And he was like yelling and hopping and stuff, and I was like, hey, maybe you should put some ice on that. Your sister's dad? So there was this lady at work today who tried to shoplift a watermelon by hiding it under her shirt, and she tripped on the way out the door, fell on the watermelon and broke it. And she just started screaming, "My baby!" Just screaming and crying. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'll never forget the time I was waiting for my friend by the bathroom in the mall. I watched a guy go into the men's room empty-handed, and when he came out, he had an ice cream cone? Funny story, in my junior year of high school, this guy asked me on a date. He rented a Redbox movie and made a pizza. We were watching the movie and the oven beeped, so the pizza was done. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "This is the worst part." I then watched this boy open the oven and pull the pizza out with his bare hands, rack and all, screaming at the top of his lungs. We never had a second date. I'm so glad I never got arrested, except for that one time my neighbor called the police on me because I snuck into my own house through a basement window, and the cops came downstairs and had their guns drawn on me and handcuffed me on my deck while I was crying and screaming, "I live here, please, why are you doing this?" So my dad is a cop, and I just called him and he was like, "Hey, I have a 17-year-old boy in the back of my cop car right now that I'm running to the station." And I asked if he was cute, and my dad said, "Hey, my daughter wants to know if you're cute." And the guy said, "I want to say yes, sir." And my dad started laughing so hard. I stole a snow globe from an airport gift shop when I was 4. And then when I was 6, I found out what stealing was, and that it was bad. And I had nightmares about the police coming to get me every night for 3 months. Until my parents finally brought me to a therapist, and he made them buy plane tickets just so I could return the snow globe that I had stolen 2 years earlier. The manager thought it was so funny that he now sends me snow globes every year on the Steeliversary. So, today I was in a summer camp, and in one of the classes we were doing a skit of a parent-teacher conference because we were discussing rules and consequences, and it was totally improv. I was one of the 2 troublesome kids who had gotten in a fight. I was staring angrily at the girl I fought with, and we were all trying to contain our laughter. The teacher started by explaining to the parents, "I've called you here today because your children had a recent fight." I blurted out, "She started it. She said that she didn't like my hair." I jabbed a finger at her. We started to giggle, but I was trying as hard as I can to stay in the act. The teacher said, "Is this true?" The other kid shook her head and said that she never lied. I blurted out again with cutting sarcastic rage, "Don't be so sure, Bethany." The class lost it. When I told my parents over the phone that my husband has the flu, my dad said, "Have you tried euthanasia?" And in the background, my mum yelled, "For the last time, it's echinacea." My conspiracy theory is that time travel is real, and someone keeps trying to fix 2020 by changing something. And every time they do, they unwittingly make it worse. The first joke I ever made was was drawing a comic where two people are staring at a dress in the window of a store. One of them says, "I would die for that dress," and the other says, "I would kill for that dress." And then they both look at each other awkwardly. There's only 3 seconds left in the clip, so I want to say if you made it this far, I love you.